StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is, go get an energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, there's the sound of the drum roll that you hear right now, what I've learned in doing 3,000 episodes of this show, because this is literally episode number 3,000 that you are listening to right now. Yes, 3,000 days in a row since this show started. The Work on Your Game Masterclass has been coming out. We are 3,000 episodes in, and today I'm going to tell you a few things. It's not everything, but a few things that I have learned in doing this. Now, before I get into that, I'll remind you of a couple things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation messages guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week. All you got to do to receive those is be in my texting community, which is free to join. My number is 305-384-6894. And once we start sending those messages out again, you'll be getting those straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do my high-level coaching, trainings, workshops. That's where you get direct access to me and access to all of our best training materials. Where you get that is by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We have 4 pillars of mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability for what we do here. You already know by listening to the show 3,000 times what I'm about, what we bring to the table, and how I deliver it. You want me to start helping you apply this stuff directly to your life and your business for your personal and professional development, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way, let's get into the topic, which is what I've learned in 3,000 episodes of this show. It has been 8 years and a handful of months that it took for us to get here, this 3,000 episodes. I remember when I first started this show, this was back in the spring of 2016. And I was recording actually not far from where I'm recording today. And I was excited that there was a new platform through which I could express myself. And I actually liked the idea of an audio platform because it allowed me to put my material out, and it required less editing effort to go from idea to finished product as compared to a video, where a video you have the visual element. So you got to make sure the lighting is right, you got to make sure it looks right, and whatever you want to do to edit the video and all the visual elements that go with it. But on the other hand, with audio, it's just audio. People just listen to it and there's nothing else to it. Now, we do put out the video versions of this show. Some of you are watching this on video right now, but we, at least as of this recording, we have a much stronger audience audio only than we have on video. I don't know what the reason for that is, but that's the reason, or that's the situation. And many people have told me that they like this show, the Work on Your Game Masterclass. I started out calling it Work on Your Game Podcast, but I call my show a Masterclass because that's what I do every day here on the show. I give you a masterclass of material as opposed to other people just giving you some bullshit of them bantering and talking, what they call a podcast. And what I like about this is, well, what people have told me that they like this even better than the stuff that I was doing on YouTube prior to this. And I guess maybe on YouTube even still now, because I'm still on YouTube to this day. And we're eventually going to move our stuff to other platforms like Rumble or something like that, because I've talked about some things and I don't think YouTube's too happy about. So they've been attacking us and down promoting, well, I don't know what you call it, our material, and not letting it get seen as much as it should be. So we're going to make sure we get our stuff on other platforms. So anyway, even though we have the visual, I still appreciate the audio aspect. And if the visual aspects went away, I would just do audio and I'd be completely fine with that, because audio is easier to consume on the go. There's less editing that needs to be done, even though I'm not the one doing the editing. And today what I want to do is reflect on what I've learned from doing 3,000 episodes of this show, which has been listened to over these last, what has been 8+ years. Our show's been listened to over 7.5 million times just on audio. That's not counting any video numbers. It's not counting anybody. That's not counting any social media clips. That's not counting anything that got downloaded and listened to offline. Just audio only that we can count. 7.5 million times this show has been listened to. So I appreciate the listeners, people who were here at the beginning, people who were there somewhere in the middle, those of you who just came along in the last couple of weeks. Maybe some of you only listened to this episode. I appreciate everybody who's listened to the show, especially if you gotten value from it and you shared with me some of the things that you've gotten from this experience. So let's get into it. Point number one, the topic once again is what I learned in 3,000 episodes of doing this show. Number one, I've created a library of material that will be a useful asset for all of the foreseeable future. This is one of the reasons why I've continued this show, is that, or one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons. Well, one is that this is also a way that I can get my full thoughts and ideas out there uninterrupted, and people will pay attention. People will actually listen to 20, 30 minutes of a audio show, where a 20, 30-minute video is harder to keep people's attention because you got to give them all the visual assets that will keep them, aspects rather, that will keep them paying attention. Whereas audio is just your voice. That's all you're going off of. And because people can do multiple things while listening to audio is not the same if you're watching the video, if you're actually watching it, that you have to actually look at the screen. So now your eyes are involved and your ears are involved, whereas in audio, it's just your ears. So that's one of the benefits of doing this show. Another one is, as I just said, I've created a library of material. So these 3,000 episodes, one thing about this show that I'm proud of, and I often tell you all, is that I don't do repeat episodes. I have never done an encore episode, like taking an episode that did really well 6 years ago and then reposted it and said, well, here's a repost, or put some episodes up maybe during a holiday season or when I'm on vacation because I didn't want to record. So I just replayed some past stuff. A lot of hosts do that with their material. I don't do that. And if I ever am doing that, then something has gone wrong to where I don't have access to a mic and I can't record. But as long as I got access to a mic and I can record, my voice works, then I will go ahead and do it myself. So that's why every episode of this show is unique. Even if I talk about the same topic more than once, I talk about it from different angles. So what I've done in recording 3,000 episodes of this show is I basically downloaded all of my insights, knowledge, and experience and documented experiences and documented them through audio. That's what I've done in creating the show. And the thing about that audio is that, and also a good amount of it, I would say about 2/3 of our content out of 3,000, about 2,000 of them are also on video, is that this audio can be easily put into other formats, such as textual format. I could theoretically say, for example, stop recording the show forever right now, take everything I've created, package it into different formats, and sell them in different ways. And that can be a business within and of itself. And by the way, I'm going to be doing that whether I stop recording or not. So even if I keep recording, that is going to be happening. And software like artificial intelligence, I did a whole series on artificial intelligence, by the way. If you haven't heard it, you should look it up and make sure you go listen to it. I'll tell you what episode number that was. That was starting at episode number 2759. I talked about artificial intelligence and the way that it can be used moving forward. And there are more ways probably to use artificial intelligence now that were not available 250 days ago. That was when I started that series. So it was 250 days ago when I came up with that. There are more ways that have come up even since then. But AI will make it a lot easier to do that than even if I was doing it manually, which I would do even if I needed to. But in the future, here, I'll tell you something that is coming. The Work on Your Game library is coming. There's going to be a whole library, a whole encyclopedia series of Work on Your Game material. Again, I already got it. I already got all the material. If I stop and never recorded anything new ever again, I already have the material to do this. And that is coming, by the way. And if any of you have not heard me say this, you should consume as much of this material that I'm putting out on this platform, whatever platform you're listening to now, before we take it off and you're going to have to get it another way. All right. Read between the lines. Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is what I've learned in recording 3,000 episodes of this show. Number two, sticking to things longer than other people is a competitive advantage. This is one that I already knew before I started this show. I didn't know about when I said in point number one, I didn't learn that until I actually started doing the show. But this one, point number two, this one is not news to me, but my experience in doing the show has only solidified this belief. It's not even a belief, but it is a belief, but it's also a reality. That when you're willing and able to stick to things longer than other people are willing to stick to them, you have a competitive advantage. If you've listened to this show for long enough, you heard me tell you about my background and my story, where I came from as an athlete. Didn't start playing until age 14, only played 1 year of high school basketball, walked on to play Division III college basketball. And if you know sports, you know Division III is not some factory for professional athletes. It's usually Division I and maybe some people from Division II, nobody from Division III. I played Division III, then went and had a nearly decade-long professional basketball career. And the reason why I was able to have that career, one of the main reasons, is because of my discipline and persistence, my willingness to keep trying and keep looking for different ways to make it happen, even though nothing in my physical reality was saying that it was going to happen. And most of the people around me, nobody was suggesting to me that it was going to happen. Nobody was calling me and waking me up and saying, hey, let's go do this because you got a chance to make it as an athlete. Nobody was saying that. That was all my personal decision. I'm sharing that to say I understood that stick to itiveness or persistence or perseverance or whatever you want to call it, resilience. I understood that these things were very useful tools way before I started this show. I understood this 10 years before this show began, more than 10 years before the show began, because I graduated from college. And first of all, my 1 year of high school basketball was in the year 2000. That was the year I graduated high school. Went to college from 2000 to 2004, started playing pro ball in 2005. Didn't start the show till 2016. So I understood this stuff way before the show began. However, not even want to say however, let me say and adding this show and the experience of me doing this show into the experience that I already have in other aspects of life, in which perseverance has helped me kind of cut through the fat and make myself into somebody. And this has just further solidified this understanding, because with all the content that I've created, 3,000 episodes of this show, and in addition to all the social media stuff, all the videos, all the written material, over here at Work on Your Game Incorporated, we have published over 30,000 pieces of content over the last 2 decades. 30,000 pieces of content. And I'm telling you that not to impress you, but to impress something upon you. Another piece of information. We've never had anything go viral. I've never had a single piece of content go viral. Now, I do have some content out there that has 100,000, 800,000, 900,000, a million views, downloads, listens, etc. I do have some content that has passed the million consumption mark. But those things got there over time. They steadily built to a million. They weren't like you put something out on Monday and then by Thursday you got a million views or downloads or listens or whatever it is you want to call it. I've never had that happen. All right, so anything I have that has really big numbers that you see, that understood that took time. Like I told you, this show, 7.5 million listens all the time, but that's 7.5 million listens over a little over 8 years. So it's not like this happened overnight. Right? And almost every single thing that I've done in which I've built something that is noteworthy, notable, respectable, that someone will look at and label as success, has been a buildup of discipline and consistent actions over time. Now, if I woke up tomorrow and everything I put out just automatically started going viral, excellent. That would not stop the pace of my production. I would still produce the same way. I would still be putting out material the same way that I'm putting out material. I would just have more people being exposed to me, which I'm going to talk about a little bit as we go further in this episode. Now, as I said, this point is sticking to things longer than others is a competitive advantage, and it is. I think you all understand that very well, especially if you listen to this show enough, because I talk about this all the time. I just talked about it in episode 2963, the law of diminishing competitors, that if you're willing to stick around and do something longer than everybody else, you will have less and less competition because people are just not perseverant, not is it perseverance? Yeah, not perseverant, not resilient. They don't stick to anything. They're not disciplined, and they don't persist. So if you are able to do those things, then you'll probably be around when other people are out of the game, and you don't even have to be better than them. You'll just be around because you're around. Right? Because you stuck around, you'll get the opportunity. Now, of course, you do want to actually be good at the thing that you stick to. All right, the things that I decided to stick to, like putting videos on YouTube and playing basketball and writing and doing this show, for example, and looking to get into the professional speaking business when I was looking to get into it, and still doing speaking business now, and entrepreneurship, all of these things. I have skills of these things. I've developed skills, I've learned things, and I use my natural aptitudes to work on these things. So I am good at them. And you want to be doing something that's productive and effective. You want to be sticking to things that actually you can produce a positive result for, not just because you said you want to. All right. So especially in the world that we're in today, a lot of people are looking for the quick fix. Most people these days are looking for a quick fix, the easy success, the fast hack that breaks the link between persistence and success. Understand that there is no such thing. There is no such thing that breaks the link between persistence and success. Most people who are successful at something had to be persistent in order to get there. Now, are there some exceptions to this rule? There's some people who just pop up out of nowhere, and I'm sure you see them if you use the internet, especially social media. You'll see these people who just pop up out of nowhere. They didn't really put that much time in, and it doesn't really seem that much effort or thought either into what they're doing. But they did one thing, all of a sudden it just popped off and it went viral, and now they're getting millions and millions of hundreds of thousands of views, downloads, etc. They're doing brand deals, etc. And it seemed like they just came out of nowhere 3 weeks ago. Are there some people who this does happen to them? The answer is absolutely yes, there are. There are people for whom this happens. And I want you to understand a few things. First of all, exceptions prove the rule. So every exception that comes out that does that does not mean you should be looking for some formula to do that. Because if there was a formula to do it, trust me, I've been in the game longer than you. I would have figured it out already and not told you about it. There is no formula. That just sometimes random things happen. And secondly, do not get to daydreaming about how you can make that happen for yourself. Because as I just said, if there was a formula for doing it, then a whole bunch of people who are smarter than even me would have already figured that out and either sold it to everybody or told everybody how to do it. There is no way to do that. Most of us are going to have to do it the normal way, which is doing the hard work, persisting and sticking around in the game long enough to see our efforts through to fruition. Most people don't have the discipline to do this. So there is no such thing, despite what you may see. There's no formula for it. I mean, it happens, but there's no formula. It's just like plenty of things you can think of where there are exceptions to the rule. There's no formula for making that happen. There's no formula for having a kid who has the genetic code of LeBron James to where they're 6'9" and they can jump really high and they're this great basketball player and they're just born with this basically full package of genetic gifts to be a great athlete in a sport. There's no formula for that. If there was a formula for it, again, someone who's really smart would have already executed on that formula and there'd be 30 LeBron Jameses running around in the world right now. Last I checked, there was only one. Okay, so most people lack discipline, structure, and are not persistent in anything ever. So your opportunity is to do that. Opposite of that. So you got to put the time in, you got to put the work in. The challenge is, what are you going to put the time and work into if your goal is to be a success? That's the real decision. Not if you're going to put the time and the work in, it's just where do you put it? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And if you listen to this show, I've helped you get on the right path towards answering that. And I told you where to go to get my direct help in answering it. That's Work on Your Game University. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, is what I've learned in 3,000 episodes, daily episodes of this show. Number 3, I've gotten really good at explaining my ideas, insights, theories, opinions, and breaking down why I hold these opinions. Do you agree? I've gotten pretty good at explaining myself, what I think, why I think it, and where it comes from. It is said that if it is difficult for you to explain something to another person, you should get good at explaining it to yourself first. This show, being a solo show, requires me to make sense of my own thoughts in order for them to make sense to you. Because I can't explain something clearly to you if I can't explain it clearly to myself. So I got to get clear in my own mind on what I want to say before I can say it to you for you to understand. And I see that many people have, and especially in the thought leadership space, what many people have is a challenge with articulating their thoughts in a way that are clearly understood by other people. And so many people may have some good ideas, possibly great ideas, but their inability to communicate those ideas and put it into language that's easily understandable and translatable blocks them, gets in their way from getting to where they want to go. So doing this show every day for 3,000 days in a row, I think I was pretty good at explaining myself back in 2016, but I've gotten even better by now. At this point, 3,000 episodes in, because I've been doing this every single day for 3,000 days in a row. You do anything for 3,000 days in a row, you're going to get pretty damn good at it. It doesn't matter what it is. And I don't think there's anyone who can say I'm not pretty good at explaining what I want to say. Now, you may not agree with it. You may not like it. You may have said it a different way, but nobody can say that it's unclear. All right, nobody can say that. Even the biggest critic of the show cannot say that. So doing the show every day has made me a master at explaining my thoughts, taking the thoughts out of my head and documenting them so that they are, quote unquote, on paper, whether this audio show or my written material or anything else that I choose to put out in whatever format. Point number 4, today's topic, once again, is we are talking about what I learned in doing 3,000 episodes of this daily show. Number 4, despite everything that I just told you, despite the fact that I just told you that persisting consistently will separate you from the pack, despite the fact that I told you I built this library of material and downloaded all these things that I know and more things that I will come to know, despite the fact that I told you that I've gotten really good at explaining myself, there is still something missing. There is still a void in what's going on in the Work on Your Game / Dre Baldwin world. Would you like to know what that is? I'm going to share it with you. Here it is. Number 4. Being good is not good enough. I'm good at what I do. I'm more than good. I'm great at what I do, if I may say so myself. But this is not enough. Although this show has been listened to and consumed more than the average show, because according to Podcast Index, there are currently 4 million 198,326 total podcasts registered around the world. And amongst active podcasts, meaning they are consistently publishing, there are about 250,000 active podcasts out there, 250,000 active audio shows. Getting 500 people to listen to an episode of your show within the first 7 days of publishing puts you in the top 10%. We're in that top 10%. 500 listens per episode in the first 7 days. We're doing ours with a solo daily show. Now, if this show was coming out once a week, we probably get even higher than the top 10%. But coming out every single day, we're still getting at least 500 people to listen to every episode that comes out within the first 7 days. Puts us in the top 10% of shows amongst 4 million shows. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is get more people to know that Work on Your Game exists. The biggest mandate that I have is marketing. Marketing is the job. Marketing is the business. Marketing is how you get eyeballs on you. Marketing is how you get the right eyeballs and the right people, and that sets you up to make sales. That is my full-time job, is marketing. The material that we have here is good. The substance is proven. My value is not on trial, nor is it in question. The biggest thing that we're looking to do now at the Work on Your Game world is expand our reach. That's the biggest thing that we need to do. That's the most important thing I'm focused on in this season of my life, in this season of my business. And while we appreciate the audience that we have, we're looking to get more. We're looking to find more people like you who are interested in personal growth and professional growth, people who want to work on their games, people who appreciate the message that I'm sharing and the way that I'm sharing it. We're looking for more people who think the way that you think and are looking for what you're looking for, so we can expand the reach and Work on Your Game, because the more people who get this message, the more value we give to them, and the more value you give, the more value you get. All right, so that is the biggest thing that we're looking for moving forward. So between now and episode 4,000, hopefully we have solved a good amount of this problem, because that is my job. So I think over the next 1,000 days, I should get at least a little bit better at solving that problem. All right, that is a problem, and it will be addressed. All that said, let's recap today's class. Just what I'm learning. 3,000 episodes of this daily show, which goes back to 2016. Number one, I've created a library of material that is an asset and will be an asset for the foreseeable future. Number two, sticking to things longer than other people is a competitive advantage. And most people don't stick to anything. So you doing it separates you. Number three, I've gotten really good at explaining my ideas, insights, theories, and opinions, and breaking down why I hold my positions. And number four, despite all of these things I've told you, being good is not enough. You need to be known these days. We are in an attention economy. You got to get people's attention and then be good after you get their attention, or be good first and go get attention. But either way, you need a combination of both. And the good part is taken care of. Now, the next part is we got to get the right attention from the right people and in the right amounts, the right volume of attention. So despite the volume we've accumulated up to this point, there is more to come. There are more people who are going to be coming in here. You could tell people you were here before it got to where it's going. All right, so that's the good thing you could take from this episode. All that said, here's to the next 1,000. Make sure you text me so you're in my text community. My number's down below in the description. Work on Your Game University. We're looking for our higher level, top level players, top 2% people. Four pillars: mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all